Here's problem 7.12. If the vectors a and b have magnitudes of 10 and 11 respectively, and the scalar product of these two vectors is a minus 100, what is the magnitude of the sum of these two vectors? Wow, after the last two problems, this one's a lot harder than the last two. Let's take a look at what we have. So we have the magnitude of a is 10, and the magnitude of b is 11. And we know that the angle between them is what we need to find, because the scalar product is a negative 100. So we know that a dot b, which is equal to a times b, cosine of the angle between them, is a negative 100. So that means that the cosine of theta is equal to a negative 100 divided by a times b, which would be a negative 100 over 10 times 11. So theta is going to be equal to the inverse cosine of all this stuff, which is the inverse cosine of a negative 0.909, which is 155.4 degrees. So if we were to draw this, we might have a situation where we have two vectors, say a b like this and an a like this. A has a magnitude of 10, b has a magnitude of 11, and this angle between the two is 155.4 degrees. So we want to add these two vectors together. If we were to add them tip to tail, say a to b, then we can imagine that we have some vector like this, a. Adding them tip to tail would give us a vector c, and that's what we want to find, the magnitude of that vector c. Sounds good. Well, as I've expressed here, I can say that b, if it's totally along the x-axis as I've drawn it, is equal to 11i, and a has two components to it. It's got a x component like this, which is going to be equal to 10 times the cosine of what's 180 minus 155.4. That's going to be cosine of 24.6 degrees. And that's equal to what? 9.09. And then the other component is this component right here, which is going to be 10 times the sine of 24.6 degrees. And that's equal to 4.16. So if we're looking at this, our vector A is equal to a negative 9.09i plus 4.16j. And so if we were to add them together, C is going to be equal to A plus B, which is a negative 9.09i plus 4.16j plus 11i. So it's going to be equal to 1.91i plus 4.16j. So that's our vector C. We want the magnitude of that vector. So the magnitude of C is going to be the square of these components, add together, square root. And what does that give us? 4.58. So the magnitude of the sum of these two vectors A and B is 4.58.